Hi everyone. We'll be starting in 2 minutes, so just sit tight. We're just waiting for more participants to join the Zoom call. Hi everyone. So I think we can now begin. We have a bunch of participants in the Zoom call now. So I just like to welcome everybody to the Good Design Assembly. I hope you're all having a lovely start to the weekend. I'm Max, your host for today's talk on designing with citizens and the government. So, the Good Design Assembly gathers studios and organizations from Asia to have meaningful conversations about designing for social impact and how we can do this together. We at Works of Heart initiated this space out of our desire to learn from others that also pursue good design. As a Filipino social impact design studio, Works of Heart creates strategies and stories with and for mission based organizations to engage, transform, and shape a nation that is free. Today, members of our team will help facilitate today's discussion, along with one of our partners who is also very passionate about this topic. And she will even be a speaker during one of our talks tomorrow. So I'd like to take this opportunity to let them introduce themselves.
Hi
Hi.
everyone, so I'm Roxy, Vicky.
Hello.
uh, so we'll be part of we'll be here to facilitate. Yeah.
Should I go? Hi everyone, I'm the other Nikki. We can just call me Nick. And excited to be here.
Okay, I'm the other Nikki, as Nick mentioned. Hello.
Great, thank you so much. We'll be hearing from these voices again later in our session. So today, we'll be covering what design and the government may entail. Collaboration is key in social impact design. Designers and the civic sector often need to join forces to make design interventions happen. In this conversation with Satarana and Attention Studio from Thailand, Vevektogov and the Design Center of the Philippines, we'll explore how citizens, the government, and designers can work together to address challenges in our localities, thus building a future where active citizenship, public service, and design are deeply intertwined. So today we have an exciting lineup of speakers who have had their fair share of experience in engaging with citizens through good design. So our first speaker for today is Wipawi Kitutian from Satarana, a civil society network that aims to foster bottom-up urban development. By using a citizen-centric approach, they fabricate a collaborative space to engage people and encourage systemic movement. Attention Studio, as part of Satarana, is a communication design studio that works towards creating more understanding in society through design solutions and participatory processes. I'm sure you're very excited to hear from her. So, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the introducing. I will show you my presentation for like what we doing. Um, okay. Have you seen my presentation, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What we're doing here, we call ourselves Satarana. Satarana is Thai word, which is mean public. Like we're trying to engage everything as possible to be more public. Like in Thailand, or especially in Bangkok, we live in the city that have like a lot of culture. We well known as a pretty tourism attraction. We have like 500 street food. We have like a lot of cultural heritage, like so many like Wandahula culture, local community, and like most of the craftsmanship. Here is like what our value in the city look like. We have the market pretty crowded, and before COVID especially, we have like a lot of well-known food, a lot of attraction, like historical attraction and the craftsmanship, so many. And in the same time, we also live in the city which is too big. I like never thought that Bangkok is like almost the biggest country in Southeast Asia. In terms of the biggest, it's not mean in the good way, because we are so centralization in the city, not in another suburb area. Like we have a lot of urban sprawl, urbanization, and gentrification, of course, because we grow it too fast, and technology disruption. The technology disruption is a key for like most of the culture value that been on the older generation than us. They cannot digitalize themselves to the online platform. They don't know how to use the smartphone, or like how to do Facebook stuff, because they are too old for that. Like most of the craftsmanship, they still have those kind of the problem. So this kind of the issue that we think that design could help, or the communication of the designer, it could be the key to like digitalize them and make more technology disrupt to be approachable better. Okay, so here's our team look like. It's pretty more than that. Like we have like most of our team is a designer, graphic designer, user experience designer. We have engineer, and like I think I am the only one who's studying an architect in urban planning area. So most of our team, like they used to work in advertising agency before, so they do know how to make things more able to sell, or can be in the market. Okay. So in Satarana team, we have so many units that work in different kind of field in urban study. We do have like hospitality service. We do own the hostel and the cafe, the restaurant. That could be like our front line to exchange our culture for the others. We do have travel. It's like the travel plus the well. So you could make the travel to make the better city, make the tourists to go to more local community, more local shop, more than just like the main magnet attraction, the temple or something, like more than that. We have Mayday who work on the transportation, and attention who like communicate for the community on or for to the one who don't know how to like tell their story to other people, and like so much more than that. Okay, from now on we have been working for like 41 projects in 24 sites, and like our team is small, like 37 people, and of course the big number is our partner, because the collaboration is a key to like make your work to be happen for real. the thing that we have our theory, we think like in government section, in business section, or like private section who have money, and the civil society should work together at the same line, at the same parallel together for support each other, not the one who have like put the policy on everyone, or the one who have to like, okay, I'm gonna against everything that you say. But I think like if you work in the same level, you will be like think about the others better. So what we do, we're trying to matching between public participation process and design thinking to be the citizen-centric design. So every design or every output of our organization will based on the citizens-centric for everything, like for behavior of travel, for to know about what community wants better. Here is what we do while we're working. We like always engage in the community, trying to do the workshop that we always use the word that the elder people will understand better, or like trying to make some tools to connect them easier. Like if you see in this photo, we print like very big map to everyone in the workshop to put their house in the map, that okay, this is where I stay, this is my friend house, this is where people go to shop or something, and trying to create more designer solution for the communities. Yeah, in so many kind of fields. And yes, of course, the designer, our designer, especially the graphic designer, are so fun with like they're doing their work like having fun every day, because they could do like design the bus stop, design the tunnel cross the road, like in this photo, and for some exhibition that published on in the communities. And this one is just like a mini truck in Khon Kaen city. Yeah, they do design the logo for them for like, and of course is do have some participate with the local people as well. If you could if you can see it's clearly better in every process of our work, we have to reconnect to the citizen wherever it is or it could be. So since the explore how to do this process, we will like try to find some local people or someone who could be engaged to the work as much as possible to be in our process. Okay, so let's talk about what we have done. This could be the biggest one so far that we do. First time that we start to redesign the new bus stop for Bangkok, it have been like almost 4 years. That time our king like Ramanai, we have the big ceremony that closed so many areas in Bangkok, and like the private car cannot entrance to the palace to pay respect for him like easily. It like the city had been shocked, don't know how to travel where to where. In that time, the one service that could be access to everywhere is the bus, and we don't have any information on the bus stop, like where to go, which stop that I could wait for the bus with bus service, which time they will arrive. That time we have engaged a lot of designer, like almost 55 of them to design the new bus stop like in 3 months for the 500 one around the old town area in Bangkok. So it have already implemented and it be here for like 3 years now. That could tell that which number of the bus go where to where. And it's pretty hard for the template design interior designer to talk to me, because it's so many information to put in only one bus. And in terms of times and limitation of the project, we don't have that much budget to do the digital size of things. So we have to do it offline version of the informative bus stop here. So this is the challenge that we have a lot of designers helping us that day, and of course the government who work with that allow us to put the signage over there. Yes. And another one that I would like to show you is the Hatlek model. Hatlek model is pretty on the countryside. They have a problem, like they want to build more economic system in their community. So we do like a lot of workshop for like almost a month to let them know like what the opportunity they could make from the tourists, or like they could have their own products, they could have their own tourist model in their community by doing the whole workshop. And we like put a lot of designer, put a lot of professor who have the knowledge about the thing that could improve their community to be better. And the last one, the Mahakan model. The Mahakan model is the gentrification case study that the community that inside the old town area, they have to be gentrified because of the policy of the government says that we need more green space and we need more park in the old town. But this space is just like they used to have the very big community there. This is the local who's staying there. So we do like a workshop to against the government that how could the community stay with the park and they could be the public space in their own area. So we do like setting the plan for the government, like, okay, what's going to happen for 6 months or for 2 years to build this model to happen, like to connect the park and to connect the community that could live with the park in that time. But this project is failed actually because like in those times the government, they say they have set up this green space for 10 years that it have to be happen. So no matter what, it have to be happen. But it's really interesting because we could gather a lot of knowledge, a lot of designer, a lot of people who interesting to make the gentrification to be better, or make the gentrification to be more fair and can go with like most of the technology disruption, the urbanization that could look into the people who live inside in it to be better. So I think it's 10 minutes already, right? So here what Mahakan model look like for us to build the space of the community to be the public space. People could, or the city also have the green space like they want and people who stay in it. So we do set up the whole render design for them. And I think it's pretty nice for me, but they don't listen anyway. So here, like what we do in like our process for the smart city policy or for the beyond from now on, we're trying to create the process that it's more like a loop to continue like repeatedly all the time because we think the people will change. It's not gonna be the same. This not will be like the work that finish anyway. Yeah, so we starting like the prepare one. So we set up like how the project will be impact. This is the first step that mostly we trying to engage the government or the city as much as possible to make it real happen. And then we explore the city with the citizen, like what is their problem, what is their like need, their access, or what the value in the culture that they have that could be expand. And we're trying to like set up the statement of the city or offer the possibility to be working on to the next step. And we create smart city workshop. We always have the workshop with the citizen for all the time in every project that we have to. And we like to expect them to be like prototyping them, town hall, or like communicate to the outside world. And like we trying to push it, like we have another word that we are working with or like keeping on it is small change, big move. In every process that we have worked, we got to change anything as possible as it could be happen. Like it could be only just one shop to make 500 of them, or it could be only one poster to make like the whole billboard of them, or like a 10K share on the Facebook of them. But like in every process or in every project, we have to put the input for the public to know or to taste or to make it happen in after the participation, because it's gonna make other people that join us for the participation program to feel like, okay, whatever we say or whatever the action is gonna be take, it's gonna be like one of them to be inside the output. Yeah. So it's it because we have the word that because it's our city, everyone that's saying it have to like they have to could make the city to be better. That's it. That is what I'm going to share you tonight. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, for sharing. It's so interesting to hear about your unique approach and unique framework, especially in context to Thailand. And we'll be diving deeper into this during our roundtable discussion later on. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be moving to our next speaker. So next up, we have Lay Motilia from AI for Gov. AI for Gov is a startup that empowers citizens and local governments through civic and GovTech solutions that facilitate efficient and responsive public service delivery. So now I'll turn the floor over to you, Lay.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear the talk from it got me really excited to have very similar approaches for civic participation in the Philippines. So AI for Gov is a civic slash GovTech startup dedicated to improve public services and promote citizen participation through technology, data science, and community organizing. We started as winners of the UNDP Hack Society back in 2018, and we are now based at the Asian Institute of Management. This topic is very close to heart because of our experiences working with the government and being part of the government as well. The problem that we are trying to address is, as we observe, and maybe a lot of us feel very frustrated ourselves, is that there is a web of entangled service problems in governance. And we can see this especially in the results of the Seal of Good Governance, where only 22% of local governments in the Philippines passed it. And then in an international scale, we are falling behind in 4 out of 5 worldwide governance indicators. So this is the problem that we are trying to address in the local government level. However, the higher level problem that we are trying to address is AI readiness, or data and technology infrastructure readiness in the Philippines, which could potentially be leveraged to resolve these entangled service problems. Our team actually recently had a team building just last weekend, where we were able to consolidate 18 months of experience working as a very young startup in the Philippines. So now we have finally, went through the process of articulating our shared why. So number one is we are all very we believe that building technology and data infrastructure enables transformative leadership. A lot of the biases and the inequity in the world of AI is a lot of it has to do with there's no available data set. So there's a big invisibility in terms of how we create our models. So that's why if we're able to build an infrastructure that also allows for inclusivity, then we can also have an understanding of social realities that are not yet captured in our digital world right now. Another one that makes us very excited when we talk to each other is that we believe that our approach in transformation is strategic, and in each of us it drives growth and excitement because that's the person level for us. And most importantly, we find meaning in what we do, because at the end of the day we all believe that ultimately whatever we do, it has to bring food on the table, it has to bring quality of life in a tangible way, because we can spend a lot of time pursuing our intellectual curiosities, but then we ask ourselves, so was there any quality of life increased because of this intervention, this technology and data curiosities that we have brought food on the table? Or did we just, pursue our intellectual curiosity and wrote a paper about it? So these are the things that we reflected on. And that's why more than ever, we are very much stronger in how we want to pursue this mission. Our insight on how, so we've seen a lot of frameworks from the previous talk. On our end, we believe that it's all about enabling a healthier public sector value chain. So a lot of startups is all about, right, there's a problem and here's the solution. But for us, we look at it at a systems perspective, and we look at it as a value chain. So there's always a relationship between the citizen and the representative institutions. And the questions that we ask ourselves is, how do we enable this relationship to thrive? Where are the leverage points that allows this relationship to be a little bit better? So, like having a couple, right? Your boyfriend, girlfriend, or a marriage. How do we communicate better? How do we, reflect better? How do we have transparency and all of that? And we believe that our tool of choice is creating technology and data infrastructure that is inclusive. So there. Our insight in approaching AI is socializing it. So AI is already everywhere around us. There are a lot of recommendation models in everyday lives that we use. However, in the field of governance, this has not yet been fully utilized. And as we conduct our service design with local governments, the most, one of the most important insight is there's this big blind spot in the side of local governments or governments in general, because they start to interact with their citizens or with their constituents at the frontline interface. When you get your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, when you have to vote, when you have to access some service, and then you become really frustrated. We don't actually have a lot of solutions in terms of preference in discovering the needs and the risk scores of our constituents. And at the same time, on the side of the government, there's also not a lot of solutions in terms of having an ability to nurture and identify responsive programs to their citizens. So in the end, the way that we countermeasure ourselves in terms of impact is, do our solutions lead to tangible economic gains and quality of life for our citizens? And for the local governments or governments in general, does the solutions increase reach and efficiency in service delivery? So in terms of access and efficiency, whatever the use case may be. And at the center of it, because it is a relationship, how we model it, is there better trust in the side of the citizen? And is there better reputation in the side of the local government? Because reputation is the currency of politics. So, and we can transform the way it is done right now through transparency and democratization of access and leveraging solutions that allow us data-driven decision making. So this is what we do in terms of assessing ourselves. Our team invested a lot in research. So before we went out and have our products, out there, we first invested in testing our hypothesis, our theory. So do our solutions actually fit our target market, which is low-income communities? And true enough, after a year of testing things, we have already reached a 1 million user mark and 25 million interactions, and we have empirical evidence that shows the fit of our solutions to our target markets. And this was done because of our partnerships with the local governments, with national agencies, and with development partners as well. And this is a very important number for us, and I guess for our designers crowd right here, because 83 is a very excellent number in terms of system usability. The global benchmark is 69. And this was scored primarily by our target communities, which are communities that only accessed our solutions using free data. So that's, one of the importance of design, because you can make technologies, but do they actually fit, the experience that is positive? So if we try to summarize the basic engine, we call it now Citizens AI. So it is designed for citizen engagement, social nudging, and sentiment analysis to match tailored social programs so that it is responsive to the needs of our citizens. So in one of our solutions, one of our testimonials is that using a tool like what we've developed, the nanay in a community, mother in a community, does not have to spend 130 pesos because she lives in the farthest sitio of that municipality to access livelihood services. They don't also have to accuse their mayors that only those close to the mayor ever get to know the programs, because by just having a low-end digital tool, they have access to services. So this is one of the works of art. So one of our solutions in terms of use cases is also creating prototypes for Go Negosyo Center bots in Region 4A. We've tested this as well. Another use case that we've done is quick response. So especially during the Taal eruption, so within 2 to 3 days, we were able to deploy these solutions with the regional government. And our biggest work is the Department of Health chatbot. I don't know if you talked to her recently, but she now contains the most recent information on vaccine, COVID-19. You can even fight misinformation by reporting fake news. And this is fully owned, the process included by the Department of Health. So this is one of our biggest project with national government. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Vevektogov tech in practice. So a lot in the startup world, it's always about, I have a wonderful solution. Hey, government, you're so stupid if you don't adopt this. But it doesn't really work that way. So a lot of the technology is just maybe a 1% of the layer, because then there's policy that you have to navigate. Then there's the capacity of the government agency who is about to own the technology. And then there's also, the organizational, the mindset of the division chief, the assistant division chief, the USEC, the ASEC, and then, all of the teammates that you also have there. And then it's really about trust, and also about opening up the mental model of, traditional staff to be open and also be trusting. That's why as a startup, you also shouldn't be aggressive, and you shouldn't be arrogant that this is innovation and great design, what are you waiting for? So it's not good attitude, because it's really about brewing the trust, and it's also about diligence in making sure that you're not putting the government at risk, and that you're appreciating that the government mental model is stewardship of the public interest. Even though in the side of the public, we may be very frustrated because we see the media, but for us, because we also worked in the government ourselves, we have a very, I guess, deeper or more rosy appreciation of government, because they are composed of people. And these people are great people. These are people with great public service ethos, and who are also embedded in a system that that is historical, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of us designers and our tenacity to to shake it, but shake it gently, to make transformation happen. So like this one. So this is the first ever chatbot of the, national agency level that has actually responded to a lot of citizens. So, that's for us, that's a major transformation already in terms of AI use. In with civic society use cases, we've also had socioeconomic impact surveys done. So recently we had 23,000 respondents all over the country in 8 provinces. So we asked them, listen to their experiences about COVID 3 times. So we had pulse research, 3 months after COVID, 8 months after COVID, and a year after COVID. So using these tools, we're also revolutionizing the way that we listen to the sentiments of citizens. And we don't have to wait for the census anymore, because we are using different algorithms as well to have a good sampling of the provinces. And at the end of it, no matter how cool the technologies are, or creative the way that we use it, what matters the most is that if it delivers actionable insights, that bridges the gap between the representative institutions and their constituents. So for us, design is about that. It's about always pushing ourselves in to be close to the values and to attain actionable insights. Oh yeah, so in terms of brand values, thank you for facilitating our our expression of this works of art. So at the end of it, when we reflect, we have adhered to our brand values, which is having a user-centric design of solutions, having a very important appreciation of co-ownership in terms of the process, seeing it as a relationship. And at the end of it, does it have any tangible economic gain that reinforces the public sector value chain? Because, that's a social class structural understanding as well of the root causes of the problem. So all of these we have to incorporate in the design, not just the product, but the social structures that that we are embedded in. The team is diverse. So we also have advertising professionals within our team, but we also have statisticians, data engineers, computer scientists, policy people. So if you combine these together and you have you're connected by that spinal cord of of the values that we all adhere to, then we believe that it's really transformational. And we believe very strongly that we are not alone. There's works of art. There's all of you in this webinar today. And we have reflected during our team building that, the market is ripe right now for people like us to really, push change in a design-centered way. So AI for Gov is about 4 things. It's not just artificial intelligence. It starts with appreciative inquiry rooted in the grassroots tradition, accessible information as a first path to the relationship, and then leveraging AI, and ultimately bringing actionable insights for participatory governance. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lay. It's so exciting to hear about all these opportunities in socializing AI for this value chain in the public sector, and also the mindset that you have going into this. So we're very excited to ask you some questions later in our roundtable discussion. So before we proceed with our last speaker, we would like to thank our partners, the Design Center of the Philippines and the Communication Design Association of the Philippines, for helping us make this talk happen. So, our last speaker is Ria Matute. She is the Executive Director of Redesign Center, the Philippines' leading agency committed to cultivating a culture that thrives in creativity, value creation, and innovation. So, we are so happy to be hearing from you. So, the floor is yours, Ria.
Hi. Okay, let me share my screen. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can I just make sure that you all can see my screen? Yes, no.
Yes, we
Okay,
can see it.
okay, got it. Okay. Hi, so well, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this afternoon to talk about, something that we in Design Center are very passionate about. Something that is very much the story of our journey at Design Center. No, for those of you that are not familiar with Design Center, we are a government agency under the Philippines Department of Trade and Industry. We have a long, rich history that began in 1973, where government believed that through design, we'll be able to provide economic opportunities to marginalized communities, specifically artisans and farmers in the countryside. This is this is a time which also led to the rise of what we called industrialized craft that ushered in a boom in craft exports from the Philippines, as well as a catalyst for the rise of design in the country. And ever since almost 5 decades ago, we have been working hand in hand with MSMEs, as well as aspiring entrepreneurs, local government, and even federal government agencies to develop new products, new businesses, as well as to provide new opportunities. Our founding executive director. Our founding executive director is none other than Arturo Luz, who also later became a Philippine national artist for the visual arts, and who also just unfortunately recently passed away. Arturo Luz articulated our philosophy on design, and up to today remains as a design DNA of the agency. And he penned this, and then he said the objective of design is to identify human needs and to fill those needs with the right products. To begin with, products must be efficient, original, and competitive. It must be well made, safe, and durable. It should be simple to make and use. It should be easy to look at, touch, and feel. It should also provide benefits to the maker, seller, and user. And it should lead to other systems and solutions. I'll let you read the rest of the words of Mr. Luz, but basically, really, this is this articulation of the objective of design is something that we highly value in Design Center and that we're also very proud of. And despite these words being, again, almost 5 decades ago, it remains to be very relevant as our industry, as the design industry, continue to evolve and moving from just design 1.0 to now encompassing design 4.0. What do I mean by design 1.0? What do I mean by design 4.0? So, coming from the words of Arturo Luz, I would like to also bring in the words of the former president of the Design Management Institute, Michael Wescott, when he said, by shifting the conversation and context of design from products and communication to systems, services, and strategic solutions, designers are making their presence felt far beyond the borders of corporate design departments by tackling wicked problems that government and traditional bureaucracies have been unable to resolve. So it's not to say, again, no, it's not to say that traditional design has lost its meaning, but I think it's all about portfolio development, or at least understanding that design contributes from one area, which is traditionally design, which is communication products in the built form, all the way to service and experience design, to organizational and strategic design, and social transformation design. And I think the appreciation of design from one spectrum to the next is really a more holistic view of design. So at this point, I'd like to talk about 4 current initiatives at Design Center that I would say would fall under actually the whole gamut of design from 1.0 to 4.0. And the first project that I would like to talk about is our ongoing project called Piñapel, or Pineapple, People, and Planet, which is a story of our journey towards circular or regenerative design, using agricultural waste from pineapple leaves in Cagayan de Oro. And also, this project won the DNAD Impact Award in London. Okay. So the Piñapel project involves material research, design research, as well as market research, as we ambition to create a pioneering business model. It's a project involving design center designers and researchers working alongside private sector designers, farmers, micro, small, medium enterprises, even local government agencies and other national government agencies. We target to present this project at the Sustainability Expo later this year. But again, it's a very ambitious project that has been in development for, I think, like 5 years. It's an iterative process of design, and it's really about going back and forth to communities, solving providing solutions in every single way or of the value chain, as we try to aspire to provide more holistic solutions, as well as address community problems, partner problems, in scaling the idea of Piñapel. Another project, or a next project that I wanted to discuss, is Paalalabas, which we launched actually just last week through our partnership with Intramuros Administration through the creation of the Intramuros City Lab. Paalalabas is a partnership with the Design Advisory Council, the Communication Design Association of the Philippines, Intramuros Administration, and Canva. At the heart of this process of Paalalabas is really design thinking, or human-centered design. But I think more especially what was done in this project is really Filipino-centered design. Why do I say this? The campaign's North Star was really about our desire to make a difference in the lives of our countrymen during this pandemic, especially the most economically vulnerable, as well as vulnerable health-wise. Those that do not have the luxury of choice. How can the Design Advisory Council, which is a private-public partnership, and the Design Center, how can we use our collective design talent and design skills to offer a solution? So here's our proposal, Paalalabas. The genius in this campaign is the word Paalalabas, because it captures the Filipino spirit. It appeals to the Filipino penchant for wordplay, for creative wordplay, even during very difficult times. And if we are able to capture that Filipino spirit, then this will resonate in their minds and in their hearts and really nudge them to observe the minimum health protocols, even during situations that may be socially awkward, or as Filipinos say in our local parlance, KJ, or killjoy. We call it our Intramuros City Lab because it really is a partnership with the community in Intramuros. We work closely with the carinderia vendors as well as the pedicab groups in Intramuros to roll this out. And we hope to likewise work with the community for future iterations of our Nudge campaign, as we hope to roll this out in other areas in the city as well as other areas in the country. And the creative assets in this campaign is available to everyone interested through our website, paalalabas.com, and through Canva for free. we made the creative assets available for free so that people can create their own paalalabas reminders and nudge their communities to observe the new health etiquette that the pandemic requires. And by making this available for free, we also hope that it spreads farther out, not just from cities, but nationwide, as well as even Filipinos not based here in the Philippines can get access to the Palalabas creative assets. Our next project at Design Center is the Good Design Award Philippines. This is our platform not only to celebrate good design, but also to promote good design, the values of good design. We launched this award in 2019, and it is held every 2 years, and it underlines our design DNA of design solutions, since our criteria for selection is founded on 4 pillars. The first 3 pillars need no further explanation: form, function, and innovation. But the fourth pillar, and what we feel sets Good Design Award Philippines apart, is the use of malasakit or compassion as an equally important pillar of good design. We defined malasakit as the design's ability to address or provide solutions in support of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I won't expand on this further, as I understand our video on Good Design Award Philippines will run during this event. But this is just to say that this is just to remind everyone interested in Good Design Award Philippines that the deadline for entries, for submission of entries for the Good Design Award Philippines 2021 is on the 31st of July of this year. And the last project or the last initiative in Design Center is our design counts, or the Philippine Design Economy Mapping towards the formulation of a national design policy, the first national design policy. Design Counts is our ambitious and pioneer project to map out the Philippine design economy through the qualitative as well as the quantitative data to get to better understand the Philippine design innovation ecosystem. When we know this, when we know the data, then we will be able to better understand how to craft our country's first national design policy, whereby it outlines how we can develop our design resources, encourage their effective use in the Philippines to make companies, industries more competitive and innovative, but as well as how to use these design resources, as well as our design talent, to provide this design solutions to long-standing problems and issues facing the country where government and traditional bureaucracies have been unable to fully address. We are targeted to finish our survey by 30th of June, as well as encourage any designers out there, as well as users of design, promoters of design, as well as the academe, who are valuable partners in our design ecosystem, to visit our Design Counts survey through by visiting our Facebook page, for the Design Center Facebook page, because like we need everyone's contribution. It's really important that we reach beyond the 9 target cities for the design counts, but really a nationwide contribution to the data gathering of design in the Philippines. Once we've gathered all our data, we hope to be able to analyze the data by September of this year. And by the end of the year, we should have crafted the national design policy with a timeline of deliverables and goals from 2022 to 2027. And so these are the ambitions for the national design policy, is to address issues, primarily 6 key issues, which is global competitiveness, institutionalization and promotion of design culture nationwide, the creation of an environment to cultivate a constant demand for good design, design protection, design education and professional development, and the institutionalization of design as an effective tool of problem solving. So with that, I would like to circle back to Design Center's founding executive director and his words on design that continue to inspire the work that we do at the agency and hopefully inspire the work of present and future designers and innovators and change makers.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you so much for sharing, Ria, more about Design Center and your current projects. We're also so excited to pick your brain on the perception of design in the Philippine context later on. So actually, now we can finally proceed with our much awaited roundtable discussion. But before we begin, we'd just like to remind our audience members that you can join in the conversation by dropping your questions in the Q&A box below or in your Zoom call. Our facilitators will keep track of these throughout the session, and we'll have a Q&A round later on in the call. So actually, let's just jump into it. So Nick, maybe you could kick us off with our first set of questions.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we've had really, really good presentations from all of our speakers. Maybe what we can do is we can go in the order of where everyone presented. So Om, can you please go first, and then Lei, and then Ma'am Ria. So before anything, could you please tell us the differences between Thailand government? Because here in the Philippines, we're a democracy and we have several things called local government units. And that's actually one of the biggest, I guess, features of Philippine government. So what's it like in Thailand?
I think it's pretty much the same, but in terms of the level of their power, like how the center government, they was like setting up the policy, and the local government, they will like put the implementation program to those kind of policy. But like especially in Bangkok, the local government, the city government is quite like have pretty more empower than the other local government, because Bangkok is too big, as I said so. But like, I think like in terms of very effective one, it still depends on the government center, like the center of the government as well, because they're setting up the policy, they're setting up the budget for every year. Yeah, just like that. But the local government, they could also action in terms of like pretty quick win project, or like something like it's going to be happen like a way, the local government could act it as well. Yeah, but just like if I want to change the bus stop sign, I could work with just the local government. But if I want to change the whole system of the information in the bus transportation, I have to work with like the center government. Yeah.
Ooh, I see. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Thailand is still a monarchy, right? Yes.
We could say like we're trying to be. I don't know. We're like military government right now, but like it's things that we like working on. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so going into that then, why did you decide to work with government in design?
When we try that, we have to engage to this stakeholder, the government stakeholder, because we feel like everything that we think or it have to be changed, we cannot work only with the private sector and only the civil society, because as far as they still own the policy and own the improvement to publish something in the public space, we have to make them understand why it's necessary for people who live in it, and how like it's gonna be benefit for the citizen and also for the reputation for the government. Like, okay, you could run the city better, just change one sign for us, or like just change the path walk for us. by the designer, and it will like make the city better and just put more room for the designer and civil society in the process.
Okay, Lei, could you please tell us why you started working with government?
Like what I shared a while ago, my second job. My second job was working with the Department of Social Welfare. So with the 4Ps or Sustainable Livelihood Program. So really like the sometimes they call it base of the pyramid, or sometimes they call it ultra poor, but basically having that perspective. And I think when you're inside government, there's already that, big appreciation of the people who compose it. And for me personally, government, because of the public interest, because when you in the private sector, it's their interest at the core, right? Whatever their vision is or the bottom line of the company. But with the government, the bottom line is public good and public welfare. And to be part of the value chain that allows that to happen is something that is meaningful.
Right. Okay, Ma'am Ria.
Wow. Well, it, Design Center is a government agency, but I guess for me, like well, I'm an industrial designer by training, um, and I guess when I came back to the Philippines, I really had no other ambition but to really work for government. I kind of figured it's something that attracted me only because it's the benevolent side of working for government and using my design training to be a force for good. And I applied to only one company, and luckily I got they accepted me. I applied in SciTem, also because I was just so attracted by the craft exports that's coming out of the Philippines, and just the thought of working with MSMEs nationwide was something very inspiring for me. I visited Manila Fame, even when I was in the university, and it was really a wonderful source of inspiration to me, and was my motivation to take up industrial design. And yeah, and then moving on from SciTem to Design Center is really just I guess an evolutionary journey for me as a designer, or now as a design manager. And it's really something that, the fulfillment that you get. It is exhausting, but it is very fulfilling. And I guess it's just something that ingrained in my journey as a professional. So.
I see. Okay, so jumping off that, could you please tell us about your experience being in government? I'm sure because usually the public would have a lot of opinions, but could you tell us what are the challenges that you face?
I guess like it's, since our the work that we do, it's we've been working for we've had for 50 years of experience. So the reputation as well, like we've developed a very good reputation with the business sector, as well as with other government agencies. So we've been blessed by the legacy of the agency. I think the bigger challenge, with the work that was also the good work that was done by Design Center, is transitioning or changing people's mindsets or definitions of design beyond just aesthetics. And this is really what we're trying to do at this point. And I'm so happy to be here with all of you, as you know, as this is also the advocacy of the Good Design Assembly, is to really take the definition of design beyond just making things pretty, and really get to the heart of the power of design, which is really as a change agent, as a catalyst to provide solutions, and especially for the many challenges that we have in the country. So I think it's more of that. And we hope that even through the formulation of the national design policy, a deeper understanding of design will be, we will spread that understanding, as well as being able to empower the use of design to provide new kinds of solutions, as well as a transformation of people's mindset toward design, or even the skill of design, to go beyond the traditional, departments, or like traditional sectors of design, to even include government service.
That's very true. Okay. I actually also have a personal question where I'm trying to word this so I don't step on anyone's toes. Do you experience any challenges? Because as Filipinos, I think we underestimate just how culturally diverse we are, because we have different regional identities that are also trying to be acknowledged, especially now. So does the design center face any sort of, I don't know, like maybe one region is vying for more parang recognition in certain points? Sorry, in a way that parang, like, are there any it's like everyone is in a general consensus of how design is going forward in the Philippines?
Not well, not exactly. I mean, again, it depends. Like when we talk about design 1.0, design 4.0, there are very different appreciation, or like the way they see design. And that is something that I guess people would just have to take their, I mean, like they will have their own pace as they go through the journey of design.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was a little, you kind of get, you wish it would go faster, the evolution would go faster, but not everything is equal. And so you just, you usher the people's journey through design, and you hope that they would accept it. And it's a conversation. It's a conversation, as well as as an experience. For it to be sustainable, it's something that like you can't force upon people, cities, or communities. It's just you hope to walk right beside them through their journey, and help them when they need help, when they ask for help. And then and if not, then you're just there watching, or like on the sidelines. And hopefully the agency is ready to help when they ask for it.
That's true. Thank you, Ma'am Ria. So, Lei, we've talked about a lot of the challenges people face. Could you tell us, the great things that you've experienced working with government?
There's a lot of great things working with government. So especially, maybe I can just contextualize it in at the time of the pandemic. So maybe we are all angry last year, especially with UH, but in our own personal experience, it was a breath of fresh air working with a lot of people inside the DOH. They're very, very fast. In fact, when it was locked down, that was like, I think March 16. So that was Saturday, we decided to help. Sunday, we have a prototype. Monday, we presented with the DOH. Wednesday, we have a memorandum of agreement ready with them. and they were working with us in creating the algorithms for it. So it was really fast and swift. However, it gets different once the policies gets handed down to you. So in terms of like, you know, resonating with the values, with the design, so a lot of people in the government would see, okay, this really works, you know, like obviously it works, but then there will be a technical working group who will give you lots of guidelines, and then that's when it goes that's when the real challenge comes to life. So there was a question here about how do you push projects. So I guess in a way I'm already answering it. So first is demonstration. So the first like 3 days, that was demonstration of design, demonstration that it works and it's really fast. But the second one is the process. Oh, sorry, this is navigation. So how do you navigate the public policies? How do you navigate the trust systems that you're not seen as, oh, you're just gonna take advantage of government or something like that. So you know, so that's the second, navigation. And for me, the third one is tenacity. So it doesn't make sense that we're still working with the DOH right now, but we are because 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 when you are driven by your values, it really, if it takes that long for the process to be transformative, then better stick to it. So that's exactly what we're doing. That's why we won't give up until, you know, they can really handle the whole technology on their own. And I think that's also a demonstration to all of us designers to have that patience and have that tenacity, because that is what it takes to make change happen, right? If it's easy, it's not worth it.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Lei.
actually, that's very interesting, Lay, because that was actually the something that I was curious about, and you kind of answered it. I was trying to look at the similarities and differences from all the three speakers, and one very common similarity is the need to collaborate and work. What it's easier said than done. How do you even start it, and how do you continue it? And you kind of answered it a bit, and I want to know if it's the same for Like, how do you even start deciding you'd want to change the bus system in Bangkok, and how do you stay for 4 years? It's 4 years, right? To just like really have just push through, move forward, and how was that experience?
The first time that we start is just like come up with the idea of one our graphic designer. He will like a Greek of the bus. There were kind of thing like he can remember every bus number in the city. He knows where to where, which number go. Like, he know everything about it. And he was like, I want to redesign this stop. And the first time that we have this idea, we came to the government like, okay, we have an idea. It's pretty cheap. You just change like only one sheet of the boards of the bus stop. It will be a great idea. And they were like, okay, that's pretty interesting, but they didn't like seem that much interesting in the first time that we go see them. And like after that, we trying to push it, okay, or maybe we just need your improvement for us to like, okay, we gonna like do all the printing or the budget stuff, like we're gonna pay for that, and we just want to put it in there for the first one. For then the first one to happen, the one thing that really challenged us in that day is like how to make this thing more impact only just for the bus stop. And it's pretty lucky for us that we design by a lot of our designer. They choosing the very light color, the information that pretty correctly, and it became really popular in that day. A lot of social media and like reporter, they set up the news for like this bus stop is made by Satarana team, and this one is from our government. They were like, how government ignore this kind of thing, and like a lot of comments like, okay, Bangkok city needs to improve, blah blah blah. And that is kind of very creative pressure in that day. The next day, the first call that I get in the morning is like, the Bangkok, the city called me like, okay, we need to set up the meeting real fast, like because they see all the media that like spread out in that kind of day, and they've been setting up because this kind of creative pressure that put on them, like, okay, people need this thing, I'm gonna have to make the city to be better, because they don't think about this kind of very small touch point. They don't know that this like just a stop could like make the citizen or the city to can travel better, to see the city better. And after that, like 2 years ago, the city just get the awards of the creative city from the UNESCO. And one of the portfolio that they send it to them is like our bus stop project that have been 500 in the Bangkok. And we get that because this project that time that the creative pressure of the social bring it up to me. Yeah.
The other, you were talking about the collaboration part, and also for both you and Lay, another similarity is how you anchor a lot on data. And I guess that's where I kind of like been trying to understand, like how you balance, right, that need to build, because Slay was also talking about the need to build relationships with also your team. So for Satarana, you always involve the people in all of your projects, and I guess that's also like, that's so much work, and that's so much dedication, and like maybe share some experiences you've had wherein you really had to engage people, get them on board, so that the projects become more meaningful and you get the right data. Yeah, for and for Lay as well.
Yeah, like for all the project that we have been working on, like it have been like 2 years ago as well, that we have been thinking that we need one of our team, like one unit, to be, we set the name to be an urban explorer, or like the facilitator to everyone to every local, to the citizen, to like we want to set our organization to be more approachable. Like we could talk to the bus driver, we could talk to the owner of the street food, or like the very big company. We would like to be very approachable for everyone to speak something to us. Like the business sector is pretty honest to us, like, okay, I want to make my brand to look better. Like they want to build more reputation in the civil society, so like they don't hate that. Like, could you have something to help me in those kind of stuff? But we try to like adapt it in more like corporate share value. Like, okay, you want yourself to live better, so you need to share something, not just CSR project, but we need more CSV project. Not only just like you put money for someone, but like you could curate some value for yourself to the community, and the community will see you in the different kind of way. We try to balancing it, like it's gonna be the benefit for everyone, not only just the city have the better reputation, not only just like the citizen have better travel time for waiting for bus, but like for everyone to get the benefits of this stop to be stand. So the unit that be urban explorer or the facilitator, for everyone, they have to work very hard. Like they have to like empathize every need, every problem in every stakeholder to really understand what they want, and finding the key message or like the key opportunity to everyone to like adapting it. And every collaboration and every stakeholder have been join us have to put something that have been their value to share to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So you really have to have a dedicated group of people just building this relationship. Your urban explorer. Yeah. How about you, Lay?
And like this team is like the even the age, they like the youngest team. They most of them like under 25 years old and just graduated. Yeah.
Wow.
Like 7 of them, and they really like general. They like can understand everyone, like in depth mindset of the people. Yeah.
how about you, Lay? Like, is it the same experience for you when you work with LGU and because yeah, even in your talk, it was very you focus a lot on relationship, and it's pretty interesting because technology, analytics, it feels like so concrete and hard, but your goal is something so soft to build relationships. So like, how do you go about that? I'm sure that takes so much more energy just maintaining those relationships.
Um, in our experience, demonstration and data. So I think if we move, I guess 5 steps ahead, we already know what the data we want to show. To right, it's like communications. You already know your intended behavior. You have identified the data that you need in order to nudge your intended behavior, and then the technology, the product, or whatever it is a means, but the soft spot is how you navigate it. And I think the tricky part in working with government is that it's full of different people with different personalities and different mental models. So the best practice that we have experienced is that you have to believe that in government there are champions who are like you, who is very innovative, who appreciates good design, and who will take, their own risk to say it to their division chief, to the assistant division chief, and so they would vouch for the design if they trust you and if you have demonstrated the value that, so it's like you resonate. So I think for us, to be honest, it was a journey of different champions across different units within one agency, and agencies that never talk to each other. I mean, units that never talk to each other in different floors. But in each of those units, we found people who believed in what we're trying to do and who have stretched themselves, put their neck on the line to champion the solutions. And I guess it's social capital. You leverage on these and you make sure you don't also, you don't bring them down, you don't disappoint them as well, because they believed in you, you believed in government. So I guess that's the currency there. And it's hard actually. But yeah, but if your value is solid, it resonates. It's quite easy actually. It's not, yeah.
Yeah, working with AI for Gov and Alt Mobility, Works of Heart did the branding for both of you guys. So it was really through you guys that I guess it was highlighted to us. Now, wow, they're really good people who are doing good things in government. I mean, diba, it's the reputation is not that good, but I think individually there are representatives or voices of good and championing good. And I think one thing I also noticed in everyone's presentations actually is design always starts with the user or the citizen or the human. And I just wanted to, I guess, segue and ask about your processes. Um, Starting with the research, just talking to people and reaching out. Um, I'm curious how this has changed in the pandemic. Um, your the way you work. Maybe can start.
It is really changed. Like we try to figure out till now like what to what to do, or like to understand the user, the citizens better in online. Like like in online questionnaire, they're not that much effective in terms of you want to gather like the real information or understand the behavior of people. But what we're trying to do is like we're trying to put something more creative in the questionnaire. Like we sometimes we do like, okay, do you understand the template, or like do you understand this user experience? We're trying to put some of the question in there, and like let's see how how they answer the question correctly or not. Like if I want the project that I have been working on is like a pier in the canal in the center of the Bangkok. They try to change the whole structure in there to make the passenger flow better. So we have set up the questionnaire question to be like, if you want to wait for the boat to come in the pier, where you prefer to standing, like the end of it, center of it, or like after you go down the stair, like something like that. But we try to put things more creative so they could have fun while they're like doing some questionnaire. And it's like we feel pretty not sure this is enough information. Yeah, but it's pretty hard to work in the COVID situation right now, or like promote people to use more public transportation, because like we do the bus stop project before, because we want people to travel more in the public transportation. But right now, like it's not a thing that we should like promote it right now. Like, okay, people, you better sit in the private car because we cannot share the public space that much. So we still figure it out, but like as far as we still living with it, is a one biggest challenge that we're trying to work with, it like how to make the citizen approach, or like the participation to could have fun in the online system. Yeah.
Lee, what about AI for Gov?
Um, for us, in the context of the pandemic, the word is you have to be agile, right? So we can't wait many years in order to provide solutions. So what we practice is true to design. So first we do divergent thinking. So that's why when I said that we made products in a matter 24 hours. So first we don't sleep to do our research. So we, we conduct divergent thinking by looking at all products out there, and then we practice pattern finding, or what do you call this, the you basically take it into pieces and then try to find the distill from all of these what is the pattern, the core, says the core of these different products, and then from there, how do we contextualize it in the Philippines. So that's the basic design process that we did. And when we created the first prototype of Kira, its algorithm, it was already based from the best practices internationally of bots out there. But the contextualization came from the policies that was already published by the DOH. So we basically drawn out an algorithm based from that, and that's why the product, when the prototype, it was right, it already had a very good combination scheme to it. So yeah, so then it was quick, but still. Oh, and then sorry, last one is then the user research. So what we did, each of us, we gave the prototype bot to anyone that we know, so that we can gather feedback as quick as possible. So some of us knew a lot of medical interns, so then there's your social friends that becomes your your first user feedback. So then we were able to iterate very quickly and many times before we presented it.
It's so fast. You really have to move fast now, which can be difficult since both of you actually mentioned that adapting to tech, like tech or AI readiness, is such a challenge in our cities and our countries. And there's actually a question related to that here. Like considering low income citizens or users, or those without gadgets or without internet, how do you guys, I guess, how do you manage that and like ensure that the people you reach out to are not just within your immediate circles or within your bubbles? How do we expand and reach out to people who are in a different social class or in a different region?
Well, I guess I can.
Okay, you can go first.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I will make it short. Like there were one of the project that it really like pretty necessary today is we call it local, like local but double L in the end. Like because of like our office like we on the center of the old town. We're surrounded by a lot of the shop, the restaurant that own with the pretty old ladies or like or like very elder people that they could not understand the smartphone at all. The thing we do like we trying to like put them on the digitalize them on the platform that we setting up to like could delivery the food for this local restaurant that they don't know like Grab application or like think that delivery man could put the separate the food for them. So we do that for them. And we the staff that delivery the food from like in every shop, they were like pretty more like one of their family or like the nephew one who run to buy every every meal for from the local and like deliver them to the other around the Bangkok. Yeah, this is one thing that we're trying to do. And the benefit is came from the GP of the delivering service for our organization to operate this kind of system. But it's really hard because like the competition of everyday lunch or dinner is with the promotion of Pizza Hut or KFC that okay you could buy one get one free or everything. So we're trying to like think about it in terms of marketing to like how to make it really happen because this local restaurant cannot survive nowadays in this kind of pandemic as well. Yeah.
I guess from my end, from the design center's experience, the pandemic has really made our work very challenging. A lot of the work that we do is really involving micro, small, medium enterprises, and even in areas where there is no internet connection. So last year, we made a commitment to teach weaving, actually using a local indigenous fiber, vine to be exact, to an area in Mindanao. But it had to get postponed primarily because of the restrictions, but the company had a need to still because of an order of a product development project that we did, they needed to train more weavers in their area with the technique that we use to develop the product. So so they had to gather the weavers into an area that had an internet connection where they could watch us do the weaving through the computer. Like we had to do an online weaving tutorial, which was very difficult. It's not something that that people are used to learning a hand skill or a handcraft online, especially for this community. Everything really is about one-on-one, like doing things face to face, being involved in just even the way they hold the fiber, the way they the way they see the hands moving to get the design done. So it was it was a very it was a new process for both us and the weavers. It had its ups and downs because even during as we were about to start, the community had to go on lockdown again, and so the weavers had to go back to their homes, and then even midway through the program, the internet connection of the entire region went down. So it's the pandemic has really taught us as well to be very patient, and to always think of the situation where the communities are at, and to really prepare for everything that could possibly happen will happen. So it's like the Murphy's Law. So we had plan A, we had plan B, we had all the way to plan C, D, E, just to be able to help the communities, and to reach out to other government agencies also, to make sure that they were there to support the community. So it's it's challenging, but that is the reality that we're faced with, and it's always, again, it's just finding solutions to the problems, and hopefully that you have the energy to solve every single obstacle that comes your way, no?
Yeah, it's really
And to remain
creative.
positive.
Being creative, putting in all the effort, being strong, and just
Correct,
pushing
correct.
through. Um, I guess last question now before we end the roundtable, and then I think we'll do some audience Q&As. Um, I guess this is the big question of the whole talk. We mentioned there's so many frustrations working with each other, from the government side and also the citizen side, the designer side. There's so many struggles, so many roadblocks. But I guess how can we encourage and increase citizen engagement or participation or involvement, um, with despite all of these challenges? Um, and also, how can we communicate the value of what we do as designers to our government?
Sige, ako muna. Um, uh, quick quick answer would be collaborate with those who are already in. Why? Because the barrier to getting in, the barrier to knowing someone inside, the barrier to demonstrating trust is so high that even if you're the most talented designer, it's luck if you can get through an agency enough. And if you got lucky enough, by serendipity, like what we did, like it's really just luck. Then for us, it's our responsibility to open the way. So I think in a way we've tried to practice that. So when we got in, so we already know how to navigate across. Then we started talking with designers. So one is Works of Heart for the AI for Gov's branding, but also talk to some communications friends, writers who knew how to write. So then instead of me myself, writing the writing the copy, then I tried to ask for friends whom I know are very talented writers, and I asked them, we have to make this vaccine information thing. We don't have any time. Like, can you write for us? And, so then the talent of that, person who's also in very much in the civil society was expressed through that. And what we plan, at least in AI for Gov, is to make that happen for more designers, because, and even with development agencies, actually, even with development agencies, hard for them to get across the relationship with government. And once you have that, then it's your responsibility to also filter out, the good talents who also resonate with public interest. And there are a lot of bad apples as well who would use it for marketing purposes only. And that's when you don't want that. You want to navigate around that, because it also becomes a negative ecosystem, because then they learn, right? They also learn that, oh, if we trust this and then they let us down, then how are you going to be different? So then you're also trying to protect the ecosystem by having a good experience in working with startups, in working with freelance designers, and that's okay. It's not a real risk. We do our homework. There's privacy impact assessment. We've signed our NDAs and all of that. So I think once you have that going, then you can start creating collaborations that are more open, because even the government becomes more trusting of us. There.
What about you, Um?
Okay. For me, it's like you're gonna make it happen, like for real happen. Like it could be like the small change, but have to create the big move as far as it's possible. Because like I think the public participation process, like in the program, it always be so romantic. Like, okay, this is so good. We can hear everyone. Okay, sitting together, have like a good meal, chatting about some issue that what is possible to be happen. But most of them, like, especially you are studying urban planning, there's a lot of program to do this kind of stuff. Is you have the any project that going to be engaged of the public, you have to do the participation program. It's just like the must. But one of them is just a program to know the comments, to know the ideas, but it's not really happen, and it's not like anything happened after that. So like in terms of I have my own fields to work with, I gotta like, okay, every participation program that we set, we're gonna get some idea. We're gonna bring everything that people talk in that day, and or people like trying to ideate something to really make it happen, even like big or small. Like if it's small, that's fine, but as far as it could be happen, like after that, the people that we could engage them, that they ever join our workshop before, like our meeting or our online meeting, they will like becoming a fan of our work, because what they like ever say that the bus have to be this color, or like use this font line, or like to use this kind of map. It happened like what they say. So they will like, okay, they are already something in it. They are something that they are part in it. It's not just a moment of the participation, but it's a movement after that what we create after the participation program, like in for real. Yeah.
Miss Ria, do you have any input?
Yeah, well, it's like you gotta create that platform to encourage everyone to participate. You can't force everyone to participate, but at least you've opened it up. And you really need to try. Like this is even the challenges that we had with our survey, the design counts. Like we've been communicating about the impact, or the future impact to the industry. But again, and so we were encouraging businesses to answer it. And then once we finally, we were getting a lot of answers, but we were still finding it difficult to get more respondents from a particular um, uh, uh, sector of the business community. And when we reached out to some of our close network there, they kept saying, it's really difficult, like, they're what used to be 9-hour days to them have really now turned into 12-14-hour days. And it's really about just keeping their heads above water, because like with localized, or like with hotspots happening even in their operations, their daily operations, or with community operations, with the pandemic sprouting and the virus spreading, it's just really one emergency after the other. So then again, you try to become more creative. You just try to find a way to make it easier for them to answer surveys, or to reach out to you, or to access you, and try to make it less painful, I guess, as possible, and facilitate their engagement, facilitate the dialogue um, with your users, your potential users, your, you know, like we call it, your public. So I think that's that helps, and you know, and just trying to again just open up whatever possible channels. So like from social media to even just networking with you know, like just picking up a phone call, or even like, you know, just Viber. I mean, I think everyone, especially in businesses, you don't even just your email, you don't know, you no longer use email, but you just use your Viber messages. You send your documents by Viber messages because it's easy for them. So again, it's just really facilitating conversations by using various channels to make it easier for everyone to cooperate as well as to collaborate.
Yeah, it really takes a lot of creativity and just trying to innovate, to find better ways of doing things, especially now. So
And
that's
facilitating.
yes, yes,
And facilitating. I think if there's anything that's similar to like all of the topics, right? For anything to work, I mean, as designers, we have our design process, but there's so much facilitating in between that has to happen. Maybe it's facilitating the process, maybe it's facilitating the creation of space for things to happen. So yeah, like something that, yeah, as designers or creative may need to really have projects with our citizens and with the government.
yeah,
Yeah, I think also one of the key is to really have a, I guess, multiple ways of like communication, not just in terms of communication platform, but you need to learn different languages for different audiences that you have. You know, like when you work with government, you have a government language. When you work with designers, you have a designer language. When you work with businessmen, you work and business people, you have a business language. And being able to shift from one language to the other, so that again your communication is understood by a wider audience or different audiences, and keep learning new languages. I mean, like, you know, like I'm from a different generation, and I'm always trying to find a way to improve my conversations with younger generation, and for me to get understood, or for my kind of references to be understood by a younger generation. So I mean, it's just that's what it takes now, no? I mean, like, you know, in a working environment, you have three generations working at the same time, so even a generational language is different. So
yeah. I'm getting the sense that it's really about getting out there. We can't be introverts as designers.
yeah.
Ah, unfortunately, we are mostly introverts at Works of Art, but we will work hard to put ourselves out there. And this event is a good start. Okay, I think that wraps up our roundtable discussion. We have so many more questions, but we also have questions from our audience in the Q&A box. Maybe Nick can start. You can choose one.
Okay. I'll start from a cultural standpoint. So a lot of the questions here are asking about comparisons between the Philippines and Thailand. So maybe you could explain to us how it is Thailand being, I think, the only country in Southeast Asia that has not been colonized. And there are a couple of questions here that ask you, uh, given the issues we have in both countries, how do you know which issue to push first or give priority to?
The different question that our country not be colonized, it's very hard because our urban pattern, like urban planning, it had been shaped like depends with the water. Like with the river and with the canal. At the first start, we travel with boat or like very kind of stick with the river and with the canal. And then another vehicle come, which we like shipping them. We no longer use boat anymore. We have been use the cars in sense. We have like put a lot of bigger road, like from the Eastern culture, and it's like be like 2 layer that pretty conflict with them, because we didn't colonize by then, so most of the land we didn't plan to have the road. We plan to travel by the river. So in Bangkok, the traffic problem is very hard to fix it, because like we have the very big super block area that no bigger road enough to do the access of the community of like to every land in that kind of block. So our traffic is very bad, very bad, and really is like very big term to change those kind of stuff, or like compared to another country that have been colonized, the urban planning kind of area is like it's really have been thinking, have been like planning depends with the modern culture more than Thailand, your road pattern, everything is just like so modern for car vehicle, not in Thailand. I think this is pretty like different stuff if you work in the public space and like you want to put your design on the urban area and like make it more effective. Yeah. And another question is like I'm kind of forget what you asked.
What are the issues that which one do you prioritize?
That was kind of our problem, because we think everything is quite very important. So we hire more people to do everything at the same time. Yeah. But it's actually work, because like most of the designers who work with us, they really enjoy doing design the public space or like the public stuff, and they could do it like one-time job or like permanently trying to figure things out, because we working in so many kinds of fields in the urban development project. It's not just only the transportation. It's like we're working on the developing the local, developing the digital lives of the people who didn't understand the smartphone. There is so many so many projects and so many unhiring people who need job. So we're trying to like expand more like, but the priority thing is like what kind of the issue that it need to be fixed right now. So most of them we really concentrate about it more than just the other that don't need to be fixed right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll actually mirror the question also to Ms. Ria. So first question, how do you determine which issues to prioritize? And then there's also a question about, are there any opportunities by the Design Center of collaborating with other Southeast Asian countries?
Prioritization. I guess it's a combination of like, okay, like what are the low-hanging fruits where you can create stories, winning stories, or like stories that promote your vision for design, or the bigger reason or the bigger why, so that more people will either have confidence in what you're doing, or become the proof of success for the bigger projects. And and slowly, I guess that becomes your investment for people to start trusting you, for people to start trusting in design or design beyond aesthetics, and that would hopefully start to convince them to give you bigger opportunities to work on bigger problems or provide, like bigger solutions. Like it's about trust building, as well as confidence building. um I think it's just human nature. People will not give you, like big problems to solve if they don't have trust in you, or trust in the process. Um, so that's always worked with us at Design Center, and I think it's not just us deciding on which one to prioritize. Again, well, the beauty at Design Center is we have a design advisory council. So it's really as I mentioned earlier, it's a private public partnerships. We have private council members, coming from the private sector, as well as government sector, and we both jointly decide on what are the priorities to be tackled by Design Center, and even through the design counts, the design economy mapping, whereby we're opening up the ability to share people's points of view of design, as well as giving us what are the key issues addressing that design needs to address. I think that one will also provide us with a clear picture of which areas to prioritize in terms of where to take design for the Philippines.
Okay. Thanks, Ms. Rhea and for that. So I'll just ask one last Q&A. We only have one question left, but we're gonna get all of your questions. The speakers will try to answer them, or maybe through the Discord. So I guess the one question we'd like to ask the speakers is that, yeah, maybe designing from scratch or designing from a blank canvas is a challenge of its own, but redesigning something where there's already existing structure is another kind of challenge. So one question here is that one of the challenges of designing the future, or even the reactionary present here in the Philippines, maybe in Thailand as well, is the fact that the country is an old one with hodgepodge of different external imposed ideologies. Do the panelists have any ideas or personal philosophies on redesigning or improving on the design that's already sprawling or built and precariously built environment while it's still in motion, without disrupting too much the lives and patterns of people that have been used to it? So yeah, Lay, you want to answer first?
Okay. Personal philosophy. Personal philosophy is, una, stick with the end in mind. So always imagine the end in mind and just have it brew in your head. Kumbaga, that's your call to the universe, no? And the universe will eventually, ano yun? Ang tawag sa ganun? Assemble in your favor. Because it's good design assembly. Pero once you have that end vision, and a normal day, it's incremental innovation. On a normal day, it's incremental development. Kasi on a normal day, you don't have resources. On a normal day, you don't have enough time, and you don't have enough people and enough talent. But because you have a very good anchor on how you imagine the end vision to be, then you are very much sensitive with opportunities. Sometimes it opens. And because you're prepared, and because you're doing incremental development, incremental innovation as your default, once that opportunity arises, you're there to grab it. And once you grab it, that could be a chance for transformative innovation to happen. Because for transformative innovation to happen, there has to be a lot of factors in place, right? The leadership, the resources, the talent, and your your mood in life at that particular point. so I think the for me the personal philosophy is don't lose the end in mind, so that you are trained to be sensitive whenever the opportunity arises to go and grab it. Ganon. Yun lang. Thank you.
Maybe
For me, it's like people change. Like um, you have to try to understand them every day. Like don't use the old research and like try to really understand to the behavior. Maybe like today they're doing this, tomorrow they will change, or like and everything have to be improved following by them. And in that time I think they have to like we try to work understand balancing two way, like form have to shape function, and also function have to shape form. We have to like balancing in like in these two factor to design something. And like I think the most of the time that the philosophy that I use is people change, like don't judge them too fast, or like don't empathize them too much, by the way. They're not gonna be the same in like 1 year or like just one day. Like there's so many factors that could affect your design by feeling of the people. Yeah, especially when you work a lot with a lot of them.
I guess I'd be next. No, I think a lot of the given that you are coming into a already I guess a built environment. I think a big opportunity for you is to embed yourself in that area, to really just observe people, to talk to people, and really like just see how it works, how it works for them, how it's not working for them. um and I think just being very observant of how the systems are in place, how it works, and how people are navigating through it. Because I mean, it's how do you they say that constraints is actually a catalyst for creativity and for innovation. So I guess the more constraints there are, then there are more opportunities for you to become more creative. And like it really does. If you're coming from completely outside, I think you just lose the general context by which people move through that space and through the structures, relationship structures that exist. And that could also lead to very big disruption where people do not accept your solutions. So I think I think the biggest skill any designer should have is listening and observing. And I guess that's three: listening, observing, and asking the right questions. So there, I mean, start with that, and I don't think you'll go wrong, or the chances of you getting it wrong would be lesser.
Thank you so much for answering those questions. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Q&A. Still have in our Zoom call, we'll be moving this conversation over to our Discord channel so that they could be answered. And we'll be providing more on. But just to wrap up this discussion that we've been having, I think what really stood out to me was that creativity is really at the core of what you do. And it's all of you thinking beyond the realities that you see. In Works of Art, all about social imagination. So I guess to put it simply, it's to work towards change. We have to imagine a better future. And I wanted to ask the speaker if they could share what this future might look like to them in their respective organizations or even their respective nations. So maybe we can start with Ria. What does this future look like to you?
Oh wow. Well, I'm actually very excited for the initiatives that we have at Design Center, no, and it particularly with the prospect of the design counts. I think like this is really going to be the first data intensive mapping of the Philippines and what's going to happen there, in a full spectrum of the ecosystem. So this could be, I mean, this is really the start of being, using evidence or data to really inform the first national design policy and developing the design infrastructure in the country. So as an industrial designer, as a design practitioner, as well as a design advocate, I'm just very optimistic about just the whole um, uh, the future of design as well as the profession of design in the country and being able to share a very unique design sensibility, Philippine design sensibility, the voice of Philippine design to the world. So there.
That's so great to hear, especially with the unique Filipino aspects that we have here. So I kind of want to move this to Thailand now. So, maybe you could share what this future would look like to you.
I think I want the designer could make more impact to decrease the inequality in Thailand. Like if you make the public space better, the people who live in public more than like a fancy private for themselves. Like we don't need more beautiful mall because we have that enough. We have a lot of mall, but we need more beautiful park and like more designs in it, more function that understand people more than that. So we need more people, we need more designer, we need more architecture, we need we need a lot of people who could understand the behavior or thing that they want, but not in the private sector, but in the public sector that could share this kind of benefit to everyone to understand how to live more creative. I want people to like don't feel frustrated after travel by public transportation, and they could have like feel more like they could live with their own quality of life in the public space, not only by themselves in their own living room or their own parking car. Just like that. It's what kind of future that we thinking and we have been working on as much as we could. Yeah.
Great, thank you for your answer. Now I would like to pass it over to Lei, to talk about her idea of the future.
Pressure. I guess I want to start with the problems that we have as a society is really pretty much the same since, from many years ago: hunger, education, inequality, poverty. However, something that is different right now than before is that we have better technology, we have better design, we are able to reflect more about our own narratives and how we express that through our designs and the craft of products that we create, may it be in copy, in graphics, in technology production, in the way that we do things. And because that is something that is different now than before, then it gives us hope that, in the future, as more of us begin to consolidate and work with each other in, having that shared vision, then I guess we're also more creative and courageous in making it happen. And the future that I am imagining for that is that, more of us are coming together in starting with dialogues like this, but also making it happen, with our stakeholders and bridging, divides in society as the norm, and not just keyboard warriors. So yeah, so I think I'm very hopeful and positive about that future. Um, so thank you, Works of Heart, for this opportunity to come together. There's not a lot of forums like this where we can talk about citizens and government and the, design power to make that happen. And I really believe that, with a lot of us coming together, we can redesign power dynamics in the future. And thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Actually, thank you all for speakers. Honestly, it is so energizing to hear others trying to fight this good fight as well. Reassure not alone in this process. Yes, just to end, I was just wondering if our facilitators would also like to chime in with anything that they want to say, any key takeaways at all.
Go, Nick.
So, okay, part Nikki first. My key takeaway is that everyone here is very empathic and deeply understands how we should be very conscious of who we speak to and who we work with, to move, to redefine and reshape how the places we're trying to design really entails like understanding what's there first. It's not just imposing our idea on it. It's more of uh, we are proposing something, a transformation, not so much, it's not just a solution. Yes, that's one of my key takeaways. So, Nikki, what's yours?
Me, I think besides be more extroverted and go out there, um, I think one of the key takeaways is that the process will always be iterative. Um, I guess like Satarana's framework, right? It's like a cycle. And then for AI for Gov and also Design Center, you always reevaluate at the end and always make it better. So there's an opportunity to improve what you've already done, no matter like how small. There's always a chance to make it better. So yeah, I think that's what I really took to heart today. Roxy.
Yeah, for me, I think it's the importance or focus on relationships between people we work with and between citizens and government. And a lot of the work that we do now, we may not get to see in the near future, but that we still need to continue in maybe little ways, as Lee has mentioned. And yeah, to at the end of the day, like have the same goal. It's quality of life for everyone, both for our government and for citizens, for us designers as well. We work hard together towards that.
Yeah. And it's really great for us to all come together to have this conversation and really learn from one another and our experiences. After all, collaboration really is the key in this good design process. So yeah, I think that actually ends our session for today. So thank you for your time. I think we have some things to share or announcements to share before we completely end the session. Yeah, so before we end, we would like to thank the Design Center of the Philippines again for being our partners for this talk. They have been recently accepting entries for this year's Good Design Awards, as was shared by Ria. Again, this Good Design Award Philippines is a national design excellence recognition system that seeks to discover local artists, designers, and businesses with outstanding designs that embody the universal design values of form, function, innovation, plus the Philippine value of malasakit. So to submit your entries, you can go to the link on screen right now. And the deadline for this is July 31. So again, thank you everyone for joining this session on Designing with Citizens and the Government. We hope this was able to provide you with some valuable insights of your own. And we're excited to see you all again for our talks tomorrow, which are rallying women in and for design at 10 a.m. and branding messages of a better future at 3 p.m. Also, if you are interested in joining our Discord community, you can find the on the current slide. So we imagine that this Good Design Club is an open space for designers and members of social organizations to connect, collaborate, and converse. Through our server, we hope this space will become a starting point for those interested in working on projects for impact. And we're going to course all of the remaining questions from our Q&A session over there. So come join us and join our club. Also, to stay updated, you can follow our speakers and works of art on our social media accounts that are currently flashed on screen. So again, thank you everyone for joining us this Friday. Stay safe and have a good weekend ahead. Have a good dinner as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, speakers. See you all tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, team.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye bye.